their side of the story. So let's have on a bunch of conservatives, a bunch of right-wing voices, a bunch of MAGA voices to make their case. And then we'll have some people on the Democratic side. But basically, the whole point of the network is going to be both sidesism, false equivalence. Let's hear both sides of the story, etc. Right? And look, that model cannot hold if one side is just relentlessly lying, relentlessly breaking the law, implementing an agenda which is just objectively horrible for the American people. Like, I don't know how you can look at this moment and both sides, the Trump executive order that raises drug prices or the Trump executive order that increases corruption in his cabinet. I don't know how you could look at Trump pardoning 1,500 January 6ers, including ones who assaulted cops and one who was a fredophile. I don't know how you could look at that and say, hey, let's get both sides of this, right? Because basically in that scenario, what you're doing is you're holding Republicans to a lower standard. You're boxing with kid gloves. You're saying we're going to lend this more credibility than it deserves. Sometimes the only thing you can say, if you care about accuracy and truth, is you're wrong and this is absurd, and like you basically lose your seat at the table, right? I mean, think about it in any other context. If this was some media outlet in Mussolini's Italy, like the idea of both sidesing the fascists and the non-fascists in Italy would be like, well, hold on now. What if the fascists are wrong? What if they're dangerous? What if they're terrible? Isn't telling the truth gonna come across as one-sided? And who cares? As long as it's the truth, you can be one-sided. And so this is the end of an era. So this is what we feared for a very long time, right? This is what we feared. What does the media landscape look like? Fox News, the number one name in cable news, and it's not even close. You have Fox News. They're Republican propaganda and MAGA propaganda. You have One American News Network. Same thing. Republican propaganda, MAGA propaganda, and even probably worse than Fox. You have Newsmax. Same thing. You have the Daily Wire. Same thing. MAGA propaganda, Republican propaganda, and also they cross over into the new media sphere where they're online, right? And then you could go down the list of all the right-wing outlets online or podcasts that lean right online. They are aggressive, relentless, and clear in their message, right? Now, what do you have on the Democratic side? Well, you had MSNBC, but MSNBC is now being spun off. They're not under the NBC umbrella anymore. That's going to limit their spread massively. Also, they've shown signs of sort of wavering and also leaning into maybe this both sides model. Think of Joe and Mika going to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring immediately after Trump won. After they called him Hitler, they went and had a nice lunch with Hitler. So that's bad. So there is no real opposition network anymore, right? That's slowly but surely going away and transitioning a little bit. And then you have CNN, which you see the model is going to be the both sides. So, we're above the fray. We're enlightened centrists type stuff. And then, look online. What are forget Democratic outlets. What are the liberal or leftist outlets? There aren't many of us. There are not many of us. And so the media landscape is incredibly skewed, where you get really ruthlessly aggressive and clear arguments representing MAGA, representing Republicans, representing the right. And you get mealy-mouthed nonsense, semi-representing, but not really, the Democratic side or the liberals or the leftists. And so now we're in hell. Because guess who's going to win the argument if the propaganda is skewed so heavily in the direction of the liars? What do you think is going to happen? Right? And so for all of my issues with Acosta, and I have many, the fact of the matter is him now going away is the end of an era. And that era, while I have issues with how they resisted Trump, at least they were resisting Trump. And now it's just hold your fucking breath. Hold your breath, because without a media environment to push back on the far right will continue to ravage this country. And by the way, also stop and think about it. What was it? $15 million that CBS News paid Trump over a frivolous lawsuit where they would have won the lawsuit if it went to court with what George Stephanopoulos said about the sexual assault case or whatever. They paid him $15 million. Why? That was them trying to say, hey, be cool. You be cool, we'll be cool. They'll give you a more fair shake in the second term. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll be kind. Maybe we'll have some more pro-Trump voices on. That's what this is. That's what this is. They are semi-capitulating or fully capitulating across the board. Across the board. And, I would say that opens up a lane for outlets like this, but there's also the added danger of, and we just heard this the other day, they're now going to try to deport pro-Palestine voices on college campuses. People who are here legally, but they weren't born an American citizen. They're going to try to deport people who protest in favor of Palestine on college campuses, protest against the Israeli genocide. No administration has ever been more hostile to free speech than this one. So who's to say the remaining voices of resistance won't be snuffed out by this administration or their collaborators among the CEO class, the robber baron class, the media outlets, right? I mean, Google can wake up one day. The Google CEO guy was on the stage, I think, with Trump at his inauguration. He could wake up one day and say, you know what? We don't like all these lefty voices over there on YouTube, which we own. Gonna axe it, right? It's dark times, bro. It is dark times. Don't be silent. Don't shut up. Don't go along to get along. Don't be lemmings. Because it's bad, but we've seen similar things in the past. During the Bush administration and the Bush era, what happened? They fired every host that was critical of the Iraq war. Every host. And so everybody in the media was pro-Iraq war. Now here we are, decades later, and everybody says, oh, of course the Iraq war was wrong. Well, who was saying it at the fucking time? They were all fired. They were all censored, right? And it's the exact same thing today. There are those of us who are telling the truth. Time will vindicate us. Time will vindicate us. But right now, it's lonely voices in the wilderness, and that's a sad thing. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.